Hey folks, thanks for checking out this tutorial video for My Notes for Windows Phone. I've just installed the app and I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on how to get the most out of this app. So I'm going to start by pinning the app to my main screen. If I hold down the app icon, you can see it supports the small tile, the wide tile, and the regular size tile. Let's launch into the app, and the first thing you're going to want to do with a note app is probably take a note. So I'll click on the plus sign down here to add a new note. And right away I can start typing a note. This is my first note. Bye. And at the top here I can add a note title. I'll call this Note 1. And then at this point I can hit the save button or the back button. Both will save. And now I have a note. Go back into it and go back out. If I swipe over here at the top, I can get to my lists. So notes only support plain text notes, so if you want to actually create a list of items with checkboxes, you can use My Lists. So with My Lists, I want to create a grocery list. Groceries. And here I'll add, let's see, some eggs, bacon, orange juice, a few items here. A little trick here is once you type in an item, you can just hit the enter key and it automatically enters it for quick access, and the focus is given back so you can keep adding items. If I hit the back key, it'll get rid of the keyboard. Back again will get rid of the add item. If I want to add more items, just click the add button again and I can add more items. Let me save this. So there's a list. Let me now go to the next pivot, which is called My Events. Here I can store upcoming events and I get countdowns for them. So I'm going to start with my birthday, which is tomorrow. Set the date, and in here I can create folders or change the color. Let's see, I'll set it to this color here, Burley Wood. And once I save it, there it is. And from this point I can actually pin it to my start screen as well. I'll hold it down. This is one way to do it. Pin the item, and there it is. Let me hit the back button, go back. I'm going to create another event. We'll just call this vacation. And let's say I have a vacation starting next month, and I want a countdown for it. I'll pick a different color for it. Actually, in this case, I'll use transparent. I'll leave that the default. And if I wanted to, I can say that this event recurs weekly or daily or monthly. Sure, I wouldn't mind a weekly vacation. And I can add a reminder alarm. It'll set it in the system, and I can also pick a category if I want. Let's pick a category for the vacation for this guy here, and we'll call it personal. Okay, save that, and there we go. Vacation, personal. I can hit the plus minus to expand and collapse those guys. Now, when I'm inside of here, I can also pin that item here, and again, I can shrink these guys down. And there's a background agent that runs periodically to update these live tiles. You can, if you don't want the update agent running, you can go into your phone settings and disable that. Let's go back into my notes now. Here, and I'll go back to my lists. I want to show you a few more options. Let's create another list. We'll create one book list. Here I can add, book 1, book 2. But let's say I wanted a list and I wanted to have prices with it. In that case, I can hit the setting button and I can say enable list items to have numbers that will be totaled together. Great. While I'm at it, I'm going to change the list icon and show you how the list icons work. So I'll select a blue list icon here. And let's even add it to a category. So I created a personal category before. Let's add a second category. We'll call them, well, let's say this is a business-related item. All right. So now that I've turned the numbers on, you can see that there's a 0 next to each of these. When I add an item, I now get an option here to set a value. I could have a count, or I can say this book is $2.95. And if I click on them, the items will be totaled at the bottom right. Book 2, if I hold down this item here, I can edit it, and I can add an amount here, $4.95, save, and then when I have these two selected, I can see my total at the bottom. And then down here as well, I can dictate my note, or I can share it if I want to send it as an email, send it in an email as an SMS attachment, or copy to clipboard even. That will copy the items to the clipboard, or I can share it to my phone social accounts. I can also select an item. You got to actually select a little. If you select right on the text, it turns the button on and off. Instead, you just select to the right of the text, and you can see how it turns gray. Once you select an item, you can move items up and down the list. Oops. Select the item, move it up and down the list. I think that one's not selecting for some reason, but I can also hold it down here. Oh, I know what's wrong. We disable that mode, take the value mode off. Here we go. Moving up and down. Or I can hold this. The moving up and down only currently works in when you don't have the list item numbers enabled. Alright, so I selected a blue icon, remember? And there you go, you can see the blue icon under this folder. And you can click the folder to open or close it. Let's go back to notes now and show you a few more options here. Let's create another note. A note 2. I'm a note. Alright, again, there's options here to select the category as well. I can set this under personal. I can change the icon. Here I can change the tile background to cadet blue, and I can also change the size of the font that's displayed. So in the pinned tile, and I can also change the font color. I can also enable a password on this. I'll show you that in a few moments. And I can set a due date. So once I turn this on, I get a bunch of extra stuff at the bottom. I can set a due date, pick a recurrence for it, add a reminder, or I can remove the reminder on this item. So here's a note, and there you go. It's in a folder. Let's add another note. We'll call this one a note 2 test. Save it. So I have a few notes here. Now, notice these notes are currently sorted as I add them to they're sorted to at the bottom. So by created date in reverse order. So new stuff shows up at the bottom. If I want, however, to change the sort order, I can go into settings and just swipe over to my notes, and under sort order I can change the sort order to alphabetical, for example. I can even change the font size. So let's say I want to show a lot on my screen. If I have a big phone, for example. And I can also say, hey, show me the created list and modified dates in there, and there you can see. See the A note now shows up first, and they're smaller, and they show up. Now I want to show you a few other little options. Which screen would you like to start on? If you tend to use lists a lot, for example, you might want to change that to lists. And by doing that, let me turn those off. When I restart the app and I launch it, it'll automatically start on the My Lists page. Okay, and let me go back into settings. I'll change that back. Let me walk through a few more. So I showed you these settings already for my notes. On the note page itself, you remember the default font you can pick for a note. This will let you pick whichever font shows up as a default for all notes. The same with which background tile you want as a default. Now you can change the font as well. So I'll pick Comic Sans, and I'll make the font small on the note. If I want landscape mode, if I like to tilt my phone, I can turn it on here. I can also pick which item gets the focus when I start a new note. Currently it's set to note details. I'll show you, I'll change that to note title, and you can disable speech confirmation down here. I'll show you what this is. So now when I click a new note, the title gets focused initially instead of the details. So you can swap that out. Let's go back to settings. If you were to dictate a note in here as well, at the end of the dictation it asks you to confirm it. With that one setting over here, you can disable it so it won't ask you the confirmation. Now onto my lists, again, you can change the sort order there. You can change the font size as well. You can change the size of the date that shows up in the list, and you can turn on the lists. Here you can also set what items show up on those live tiles. Do you want to show all your items, the checked items, or unchecked only? Next is the list page itself. Do you want new items added at the bottom or the top, and what size of font would you like? for that. Next is dark and our theme page, and you can pick dark or light theme. If I switch to light theme and I save it here, it's actually going to tell me I have to restart the app. So let's do that. Let's go back, restart the app, and I now have the light theme, which some people tend to prefer. Next, I'm going to show you adding a background image. If you go back to the theme page, you can pick one of these predefined images, or you can add your own image as well. So now I picked an image. I got a nice little background image on all my pages. Next, I'm going to show you how to use one of these passwords. If I want to password protect this note, can I go into my settings for the note and password protect it? Now, it's the first time I'm doing this, so it's telling me I don't have a password set to go set. If it asks me if I'd like to set one now, so let's say yes. It takes me to the settings page where I can set the password. So we'll do a pretty simple password here. Save it. Ask me to confirm, because if I forget this password, there's no way I can get into that note. This option here allows me to password protect the whole app. I won't do that yet, but let's go ahead and see this in action. So I launch Note 1. Now when the first time it won't ask you. Let me just go back into that. When I click on Note 1, it's going to ask me for that password. If I get the password wrong, it'll tell me, and I can hit the back button to get out of here. I can try to come in again. 2, 3, 4. Got the password right. It let me in. And I can go back if I want and disable that password. Now, if I want to lock the whole app, go into Settings. And then while I'm here, let's see, Theme. Let's set it back to the dark theme. And I'll ask for password when the app starts. So, okay. It's asking me to confirm the password, and I'll restart the app, and it asks me for my password. Enter the password, and now it's unlocked. Let's go back into Settings, show you a couple more things. Covered my notes, my lists, covered themes, passwords, and tiles. If you don't like the current accent color tile that comes when you pin the app, you can change it to the older standard one I used to use, and just say set tile, and when I exit the app, the main tile is now the old style note looking app. So if you want to keep it at that, let's go back in here. It's asking for the password. Go back to Settings. I'll disable that password. Here you can change the default font size for pinned tiles. You can change the default color, shows up, and lastly, Diagnose app is just a little helper. If a index file ever becomes corrupt and your notes aren't showing up, you can hit that and it'll find any notes that aren't indexed. If you want to just clear out all your reminders, you can do that here. And again, send feedback. I'd love you guys to rate this app. That'd be very helpful. The link to this tutorial is with this button here, and then you can always get to what's new. Whenever I publish a new update, I throw everything that's new in here with the last release. Again, I really want to thank you for checking out this app. Email me with any feature requests. I love adding new features. In fact, here's one two I missed. I just realized the search feature. If you wanted to search for a note with something in it, you can search for notes there. And you can also sync. There's a Windows 8 client as well. You can sign into OneDrive here. And once you're signed in, I won't do that right now, these buttons will be enabled, so you can push your notes to OneDrive and then you can pull them back as well. You can keep them in sync. I highly recommend you use this feature if you've got important notes, and if you ever lose your phone or it crashed on you or something, you'll be able to get your notes back. So again, thank you so much for checking out this video and using this app. Hope to talk to you soon. Bye.